whatsoever.
So, what is at the core of this political drama that's led to anger and frustration online and on the streets? Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter Glenn Greenwald lives in Brazil, and he's closely covering this constitutional crisis. He joined me from Rio. Welcome back to the program, Glenn.
Great to be with you.
So were you surprised? Did anybody really think that at the last moment she could have got the votes she needed to stave off this sort of impeachment process?
I don't think the outcome was particularly surprising. I think that the margin was fairly surprising, although Brazilian politics, like in a lot of other countries, is about momentum and power. And once there was a perception that they had the votes, a lot of last-minute undecided switch to the pro-impeachment side so that they can be on the winning side. I think what did surprise people, though, was the tenor of the proceedings in the House. It was extremely raucous, very ugly. You had pro-impeachment advocates standing up and hailing the 1964 coup and the right-wing military dictatorship that followed. One prominent right-wing congressman who's expected to run for president specifically praised the chief torturer of the military regime, who, of course, tortured Dilma Rousseff, the president, before then voting to impeach her. So it kind of was a very polarized and a very ugly tenor to these proceedings that reflects this wider sentiment in Brazil that really has split the country in a very dangerous and unstable way.
Even the vice president, who may have to step in, is himself accused of all sorts of misconduct and wrongdoing. And I just want to read this to you because it is extraordinary. Of the 594 Congress members, 352 face accusations of criminal wrongdoing, according to multiple reports. And then, of course, there are all sorts of people, including Eduardo Cunha, who's leading the impeachment process, who's accused of perjury and corruption. You've got another one, Maluf, who's on Interpol's red list for conspiracy. You've got another one accused of money laundering. You've got another one, as you just mentioned, you know, who is sort of implicated in all sorts of torture, and others, you know, implicated in human rights violations. Now, Dilma herself has called this a coup. What is going on?
It's the most extraordinary thing, Christiane, because not only is essentially the entire Brazilian political class that is trying to impeach her implicated in really serious corruption. I mean, the most surreal thing I have ever seen in my time as a journalist or anywhere else covering politics in countries was that yesterday the person presiding over the impeachment proceeding in the House, the Speaker of the House, Eduardo Cunha, whom you referenced, he is somebody who was found to have stashed away millions of dollars in bribes. There's no non-corrupt possibility. He has no wealth. He has no businesses. Millions of dollars stashed away in Swiss bank accounts. He's somebody who's presiding over the House as they're all getting up one by one, all of them accused of corruption and saying, we must remove the president for corruption. And amazingly, Dilma herself is one of the few people not accused of any kind of bribery or personal corruption or kickbacks or anything to be enriched. What's going on is pretty simple. Her party, the Workers' Party, or the PT, has won 4 straight national elections, going all the way back to Lula, who was wildly popular, who was first elected in 2006 and then re-elected in 2002 and then re-elected in 2006. The plutocrats in Brazil, the rich in Brazil, have long hated PT, have not been able to defeat them at the ballot box. And so this is their big chance, with the economy tanking, with this crisis proliferating, with people really upset with the government and the political class. This is their big chance to finally get rid of PT, which they cannot win in an election, and so they're using these anti-democratic means to do it, and it's incredibly blatant what's taking